Good afternoon and welcome to the Standing Committee meeting for Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. Council will continue to meet in a virtual hybrid format due to COVID-19. We certainly encourage all registered speakers to do so virtually. Our first order of business is actually roll call.
Reverend Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Coghill. Mrs. Gross.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Mr. O'Connor. Mrs. Kell Smith. Mrs. Strasburger.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle, Chair.
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which are or may be before city council, and profanity will not be permitted. You will be given 3 minutes to speak after you provide your name and neighborhood for the record. Our first speaker is Naomi Mullen. I believe we have Ms. Mullen with us this morning. Our next registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller.
Ron Miller, Bell Suver, and I also have a residence in Sacramento, California. One of the concerns of this council is clearly the inauguration of a new government. It's a concern of mine, and I mentioned this morning 2 items from an email which I sent to the council on the 29th of December. I'm turning to section 3. If in the SIM, the inauguration ceremony, there is inclusion of "So help me God" in any taking of the oath of office, I and the Global Intelligence Society will determine that the addition violates the Pittsburgh Home Rule Charter and the United States Constitution Amendment 1 Religion Clause, and will be integrated into our litigation of Pittsburgh civil rights, what we perceive to be illegalities. Section 4, if there are religiously grounded sections of the inauguration ceremony, such as invocation or benediction, which there were, the articulators of these actions must include representation more diverse than only Christianity and Judaism. Invitations to do these sections must be extended, in our view, to 1, a shaman, priest, teacher of the Seneca Native American of Gayasuta, Gario religion, contact the Pittsburgh Longhouse. 2, an imam of the religion of Islam, contact the Pittsburgh Islamic Center. And 3, a reader from atheist, humanist, non-religion, contact the Pittsburgh Free Thought community. If there is no evidence of contact with these alternatives to ministers of the religion of Christianity or rabbis of the religion of Judaism or equivalents obtained via Freedom of Information directives or judicial court orders by us, the exclusion of invitation to participate will be listed in RLM/GIS litigation as a civil rights violation under the Pennsylvania State Constitution and the USC Amendment 1 Religion Clause. The swearing-in meeting, the inauguration ceremony, is not owned by the Council of the City of Pittsburgh or the citywide dominant Democratic political party. The meeting is our meeting in our room, the room of the people. In our view, the offices of mayor and council and Democratic Party have degraded the ultimate roles of voter verification and secularization at the core of the United States version of Republican democracy by preventing voter verification and by purveying religion bias into the certification of office. Dr. Ronald N. Miller, Pittsburgh and Oxford, founder of the Center for Global Studies, International Interdisciplinary, and the GIS candidate for president 2024.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Ken Holmes. Currently on mute, Mr. Holmes. You are still on mute. I believe it's *6 to unmute yourself. All right, I'm gonna move on. I'll come back, but I'll move on to Ikahana Halmalkina. If you are speaking, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Greetings and good day. My title is Ikahana Makina. I'm the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People. I decided that this speech would go to a warrior, a fire keeper, by the title of Kahul Kalame Hama, who we lost. So he lost his battle at the tender age of 38. He was a fierce, compassionate warrior for truth, freedom, and justice. His death has sent shockwaves throughout our community. Knowing how he immersed himself in fighting for justice. Also, I know how the intense pressure to be who you are, who you were born to be, has many challenges. To be denied the ability to freely express your culture on your job, fired for wearing your feathers at work, clear discrimination, arrested for traveling upon our own land freely and resisting forced assimilation. Our children are feeling alienated in society, having no place to freely express our culture. Theft and deception in the criminal justice system extremely poignant. Where can the American Aborigine go to freely express who we are in our own land? As Martin Luther King put it, we have been exiled in our own land. It couldn't have been made any more plain in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the Constitution states, and excluding Indians, not taxed, meaning we are not to be enumerated. However, since you're here doing business on our land, it is only right that you do your fair share and pay your fair share according to the American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People and also the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. We are the Onkwe Homeway. We are the Rotonesuni, the original people. A city for all must include Aborigine American people. And I will yield the rest of my time to a moment of silence for Kahul Kalame Hama.
Thank you very much. That takes us back to Ken Holmes. Holmes, you're still on mute. It may be possible that you have an older version of Zoom that's currently not compatible. We're going to have to move on, but if it gets worked out and you're able to call back in before the end of the meeting, I will certainly allow your 3 minutes to speak. So that moves us on to our standing committee agenda. We have one committee for today, and that committee is Human Resources Committee, which is chaired by Councilman Kraus, and we have one supplemental paper, which is Bill 11.
Bill 11, Resolution amending Resolution 322, which authorized the mayor and director of the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service to enter into an agreement with Integrated Health 21 LLC for services relating to the administration and management of a wellness portal by extending the term for 3 years and increasing the not to exceed amount by $483,240.
Motion to approve, please. Brief discussion.
Second.
Thank you, Director. Good afternoon. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I think you wanted to make some brief comment.
Absolutely. Janet Manuel, Director of Human Resources and Civil Service.
Hello, Richard Butler, HR Manager for Talent and Wellness.
And I just want to introduce to City Council our newest member of the team, who is our new health and wellness guru.
Hi, Laura Bjorman, new health and wellness guru.
So This respective legislation that we have before City Council asking for your approval is for us to continue the process of our health and wellness platform. So in 2017, when Richard was hired in November, he and I collaboratively outlined a different format for the health and wellness platform for all City of Pittsburgh employees. We enhanced it and expanded it to not only service and support our employees, but also included their family members as well. And our aspect of health and wellness, fourfold: mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so for those of you that have not participated, we do encourage you to, but for those that have, we hope that it has been beneficial. We've also received very numerous, a lot of comments positive from our employees who have improved their lifestyle. And when their lifestyles are improved, that has a positive impact on the medical benefit platform. And as HR came before you in the month of December for our budget, it was duly noted that the cost of medical premiums that is paid for by the City of Pittsburgh is pretty high. But we are very pleased to stand before you today to talk about the health and wellness platform that we have decreased a lot of health issues for our employees. We're not able to get specifics due to PHI, but want you to know that the feedback that we have received and the platforms that we have implemented by utilizing IH21 has definitely made a difference, not only in our employees' lives, but we've also included members of their family as well. Richard?
And I'll use the tall mic. So the IH21 has been an excellent partner, especially once we had the COVID crises, because they've managed all of our shots, boosters, testing, as well as they manage our biometric screenings for all of the employees. And we're just hope that you pass the resolution so that we can continue doing the work that we've been doing for the last 3 years. So we're just asking for an extension.
Do other members have questions?
Councilman Wilson does.
Thanks. I wanted to just know if I sign up, what can I look forward to?
What can you look forward to?
You said if you encourage employees to sign up,
Yes. So what you can
like whatever the program is,
yeah. So
the services that will be
yeah. So
provided.
the services that we basically provide through the platform ranges. It's basically to help create engagement with intrinsic motivation. And so we have challenges, we have webinars, we have lunch and learns. We encourage you to go back to basics, and we give you what we call mojo points to go to your primary care physician, to go see your dentist, eye exams. We really put a high value of mojo points on that. And once you reach 1,000 points, for those who like rewards, we reward you with a gift card as well as various wellness swag. And our employees are actually motivated to get those points. We have employees who actually have thousands of points. They go beyond 1,000. You also can participate with our dietitian that has been very popular amongst the employees. That's where we have seen the most health changes. We have over 300 employees that see our nutritionist, and we have seen the most health prevention and results through our dietitian.
Is there any way to incentivize it so that like whatever the monthly payment people would pay for their insurance, it would go down like $10 a month or something?
That is currently not an option, but of course, we are in transition with the new administration. And so that topic and conversation can always be brought to the table. But I also want to have Lori just speak a little bit more of what some additional incentives and activities that are when you, Councilman Wilson, join, that you can hear directly from the health and wellness.
And you're her councilman.
Yes, Troy Hill. So in terms of some of the programs that Richard was talking about, we have a Meatless Monday campaign to help encourage people to go plant-based at least once a week. We will be launching our Mayor's Mile Challenge to try and get people to walk or run a certain amount of miles to be determined.
4 laps around this building is 1 mile.
Yeah, which is why we call it the Mayor's Mile. So we have that. Weekly, we have our Mindful Mondays where we do mindful exercises and meditations. The lunch webinars we have always rotating health and wellness topics. And we will be starting wellness conversations on Friday as kind of an open discussion to see what employees need help with or a little bit of encouragement on. We'll also, in line with our Back to Basics, we will be doing a goal setting or intention setting workshop. So yeah, those are just a few things we have coming up, and we will continue to increase more throughout the year.
And I wanted to add, we encourage spouses and partners to participate as well.
Okay, well,
And
Um,
if I may also add,
yeah.
Councilman Wilson, due to the contribution question, please note that even when employees improve their lifestyle, that improves the utilization of the medical platforms that we have. And that will, in essence, also decrease not only the cost that the city has to pay, but then also the cost that is on the employee for their respective portion. So your point is valid, and it will be taken back for further conversation. But I wanted to add that piece in as well, that as people do improve their lifestyles, there is that change across board. It's not suddenly, but you will see the change, and the change does impact when it's time for the negotiation with the respective health plan providers, because it looks at what the high-risk diagnoses are, and there has been a proof in the last several years of those diagnoses being reduced, as well as having people do their preventative care services as well. So it really is the total package.
there like employees that were having trouble reaching, like in DPW, or like, is it mostly all non-union employees that you're
It's
working with, or
everyone,
is it all across the board, firefighters?
all across the
police,
board.
3,500 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their families.
Right.
And so we always include the families because we understand that everyone has a life outside of the walls of the CCB, City County Building, or wherever they're actually physically
Okay.
working. And so when you can have that, have the family members involved as well, that makes it more for a family-oriented process. Prior to COVID, our last in-person health and wellness activity was held at the offsite event,
Phipps Conservancy.
Phipps Conservatory, where it was a family-oriented day, where everyone got to go around and collect information from the respective vendors. But then also part of that was for them to spend time and go see the exhibits at Phipps Conservatory. That was held in 2019. Then, of course, COVID came, and of course, we're doing it virtual. But hopefully, if not this year, then the following year, we can all go back to that.
Well, I received my booster because of you all. I just had to walk upstairs.
Mhm.
So thank you for putting that on, and I feel much safer because of that. So I think I'll be in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion?
Oh yeah, I guess I gotta join.
Kraus?
So, since there's no other discussion on this topic, and since you're here, you have the platform, could I ask you, Director, just very briefly to remind everyone of their obligation to fill out their desire to either check the pension offset box or to not choose to do so, and that the fact that there's a deadline to do so?
Sure. Thank you, Councilman Kraus. So December 28th was a memo sent to non-union employees, as well as several unions have already signed the sidebar agreements. And so that is encouraging employees that they have from December 28th to February 28th to sign off to increase their contributions to the municipal pension fund to 6% from 4%, which will eliminate the Social Security offset. And so I want to thank those employees who have already submitted their forms, and for those that haven't, please submit it. You can send it to Diane Morgan, who is the payroll coordinator. You can email her. You can drop it off on the 4th floor at the front counter in the city county building, or scan it and email it to Diane Morgan. But we do encourage everyone to make their decision on the municipal pension fund and the Social Security offset.
Can I ask just one question? Should someone not submit the form, is it automatically going to be received that that person has chosen not to?
That is correct. And the question from Councilman Kraus was, if the employees do not submit the signed form authorizing to increase their contribution from 4% to 6%, will they remain at 4%? And the answer is yes.
Director, thank you. Richard, thank you.
Thank
Laura,
you,
thank
Councilman
you.
Kraus.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Continue with second round. Council President Smith and
Thank you.
Councilman Wilson.
That's my first round.
We went to second round with Councilman.
Okay.
Rose.
Thank you. But I just want to thank you for all of you for your work. But I remember once before I called and you had to have your insurance through the city. Is that still the case? Because I don't have my insurance through the city.
Yes, yes, you can
Can we
still
look at
participate.
expanding that?
You can still participate if you're not insured, but you work for us because you might be on your partner's benefits. We just don't give the same type of rewards that we would give to the insured.
Can we look into something like helping with that? Thank you. And then I want to thank you also for your work with the pension offset. And that was a lot of work I know for all of you to do. I do want to thank Mark DePasquale and John Sibbett on the pension board, or the municipal pension board, for bringing this forward first to them and then bringing it to council. So I failed to mention them before, but I want to thank you all for your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson.
Director, you mentioned the sidebar agreements with the unions. So that's currently happening?
Yes,
Laborers
so
are getting it.
go ahead. So yes, Councilman Wilson, so there are specific unions that have already signed off on the agreements allowing for their respective employees to participate for those that are impacted by the Social Security offset. And so they too, those respective employees have already received the memo for them to be able to sign off and increase their contribution from 4% to 6%.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I have some union employees that were asking me about this. And so it's already been, some of these side agreements were already handled during the past administration.
That is correct. The sidebar agreements were all signed and in effect the last week of December, signed off by former Chief of Staff Gilman.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. We do have meeting announcements. Tomorrow, Thursday, January 6th at 1:30 p.m. Council will host a cablecast public hearing relative to bills 2122 and 2123 as it relate to the Duquesne University Institutional Master Plan. To register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by 11:30 a.m. the morning of the meeting, which is tomorrow. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. And next week, council will hold our regular and standing committee meetings on Tuesday, January 11th and Wednesday, January 12th, respectively. Both meetings will be held at 10 a.m. Again, if you wish to register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on council's meeting webpage by 9 a.m. the morning of said meeting. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Announcements from members, Council President.
Thank you. I just want to make sure council is aware that today is the hearing for Wilkinsburg, the judge's hearing, and you're reviewing the petitions. So I did send our city solicitor up to argue on behalf of council that one, we were not notified in enough time. We just, as Madam Clerk knows, found out, and for various reasons, just to represent council. And I'll talk to members about that after this meeting. But I also like to call, in regards to that, I'd like to call for 9 public hearings in each of our council districts so that we can hear from Pittsburgh residents only on the potential of the Wilkinsburg merger. And I'm working with organizations to make sure that we have people there. So with that said, a motion to hold 9 public hearings in the community cablecast regarding any potential Wilkinsburg merger.
All those in discussion?
I did say point of order, didn't I? And which
Yes.
does preempt that. Sorry, I forgive me. I was just meant to make a point, but since I said point of order, may I suggest that your verbiage be annexation, since that is technically the process and not
Yes.
merger?
Great. that's
Thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Coghill.
My question was just 9, we're going to have 9 public hearings in a 3-month period
Yep.
in each district.
Why did you come up with the 3-month period?
What's that?
Why did you
I
say
thought we
3
have 90 days to act on it.
Is that why? Yeah, we're going to have them 9. We've done this before where we've had hearings in each council district,
We're going to have them in the district or we're going to have them here?
in the districts.
In the districts, we're going to have 9 public hearings on this. Seems much for me, but that's fine if the body sets.
I think we need to give our residents a chance to speak. We've heard a lot from the Wilkinsburg people. As you know, our offices are getting inundated with calls
We are.
in opposition regarding this so far the last few days. And we haven't heard, I mean, and they're going to have a chance, they might potentially have a chance to vote, but nobody's heard from our Pittsburgh residents and what they're thinking. And I'm hearing a lot of feedback from southwest of the river, and I'm hearing a lot of feedback from across the city from different people. Some in favor, some, but mostly in opposition. But I think we need to give the people a chance to come out and say how they feel. Are they supportive or are they not supportive? So I think that's what we need to, give people a chance to speak in the city of Pittsburgh, give them the only voice that they'll be able to have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gross, Councilman Kraus.
Good, Councilwoman.
May I also work with you and maybe the city clerk and maybe our solicitor on putting out factual information? I said it at our post agenda on this topic, that I didn't feel that post agenda itself presented expert testimony to council at all. There was a lot of expert testimony that was lacking. And it was mostly kind of an emotional appeals from both sides of the issue. And that I feel like there is a lot of analysis data, which some members sometimes are skeptical of what we need, but this is the exact kind of topic that our citizens deserve to have. I think factual presentations that they have access to, because, and not just media reports on people's opinions, which is what I feel like this kind of state of discourse has been so far. So if
Well, I'd
there's a
be
way we
glad
can
to work
also
with you, but I
have
where you
maybe
get
on
the
our-
facts matter too, because then they're factual to those people we're getting them from. So I think where we're getting it from, that's not slanted, that's actual information that's,
Exactly,
it's
and then we
not
put it perhaps on the
paid
city
for,
council
not paid and
website,
bought for.
and we could perhaps put it out on our own platform.
I'll be glad to work with
That'd
you
be
on that.
great. Thank you, madam.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I was going to get down sort of the same path as Councilwoman Gross. I was going to suggest perhaps a briefing by our law department, our solicitor, as to the factual. Some of us are confused as to what kind of time span we might be obligated to, what we may be able to say in public, what we may not be able to say in public, when a vote might need to be scheduled, all the different technicalities around what is being asked of us, so that we're all speaking of one accord, have all the same information at the same time. I think a briefing could be very helpful.
So we actually just had a meeting with the clerk's office and our solicitor, and we asked, I'm going to call for a briefing for the law department and our solicitor with council
In
members.
unison,
Yeah,
sure.
but I want to do this one first.
Yeah, I think it's important that we all understand what's being asked of us to do. And then number two, also in keeping with Councilwoman Gross's remarks, I've heard this annexation be compared to purchasing a home. And would one purchase a home without having an inspection? And what is this inspection? What do the water lines look like? What do the gas lines look like? What is the debt obligation? What is the taxation situation, on and on and on, so that we have an accurate understanding of the responsibilities that we could possibly assume should we decide to do so.
I also, do you mind if I just want to say, I think we also need to have council engaged in this. I mean, so far as I know, we've had very little conversations from anybody approaching any of us. We don't even know who's paying for it. We hear all kinds of rumors of who's paying for this, who's behind this. I mean, we need to know details and facts and why they're pushing this and what it actually entails for the city of Pittsburgh and our school district. And I think that that's a huge concern from what we're hearing from all these phone calls.
So again, in keeping with the councilwoman's remarks,
Yeah,
much of the
absolutely.
argument has been around emotion.
Right.
We're dealing in fact here, and dollar, fact and dollar and financial obligation. Those are important things that we need to understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think two things. One is we also need to get information from the school district because, and that's one of the things that our controller talked about during the post agenda, was that we need a thorough understanding of what the liability will be. I want to suggest something perhaps that we think about maybe a year engagement process with Wilkinsburg Council jointly to talk about this issue citywide and Wilkinsburg wide, because I think it would be interesting, right, for them to come to our districts. I mean, if you were going to have a marriage, like I have a son's getting married in July, and her family is from Florida. And so she came and visited us, and we learned about her in Pittsburgh and met the Pittsburgh family. And there was a time when my wife and I and our family went to Florida and met her family and her extended family. You know, we both shared her with us, and then we went as a family down to them. I think it would be interesting for us. I think this, I've been saying this process is much too quick. I think that for us to think about, if perhaps once this process is disposed of, spending a year or 9 months or some period of time jointly with the Wilkinsburg Council, engaging both the city and their council and their residents in a joint process where we share together. Because I think, as I said during this, it's the process, this sort of almost never used process is just not fair, right? You get the Pittsburgh residents who have no say-so. You get Pittsburgh City Council that has say-so. You get the Wilkinsburg voters who have say-so, and the Wilkinsburg Council who has no say-so. That just doesn't seem fair to me. There should be a process where both councils and both residents get a say on the merger or on the marriage.
This, if I may, I'll keep it brief, I promise.
We have time today.
Where he who has himself for a client is a fool. We have lawyers for a reason. We need to understand what our obligations are, and some of that might be determined today by this hearing. I think if the
Right.
signatures are validated, we may be obligated to a time frame we're not even aware of that we're obligated to. I think a briefing would be very helpful for us, Madam President. Thank you.
Yes. I just came from the press conference today. And you're right, everybody, this is very emotionally charged on both sides, I will say. I think the most important thing, getting back to what the councilman here was just saying, is having the facts in front of us. There is a financial study going on, and
Who's paying for that?
the CDC is paying for it, right? But the people who are doing the
Oh, I need to
study
hear. Thank you.
are out of Philadelphia and helped us through, Act 47. They're a very reputable company. So we could, go out and get another company if we'd like, but I don't think they're going to be biased just because CDC hired them. But it's up to us to weed out, I guess, right? I would think that this calls for a post agenda on the financials of the whole situation. I stopped short of absolutely supporting this at this point because of that reason. I don't know the numbers myself. I look forward to seeing what this report shows. I know the original report showed, kind of a revenue neutral situation for the municipalities to join together. But I don't think we should be making any decisions until we have the financial facts in front of us. And I would prefer to have a post agenda on that and, getting the people in front of us as to who we want to invite and who we feel we should invite, and just looking through the numbers before we even get so emotionally in charge on this subject. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I think that it's emotionally charged, partially because the way this is unfolded. This same way everything else has been unfolded, where somebody hires a firm, somebody's getting some kind of money behind the scenes to pay for it, that we suspect, at least. We don't even know the details of that. And so I think there was no real conversations with council members. Our mayor was just elected, and we don't even know where he stands on this issue. Publicly, we don't know. And I don't know that he's even been engaged in all these conversations. So I think that there's been a lot of conversations, but they're happening internally in a silo where members, people that actually represent the people aren't having those briefings. I think if they would have given council the respect that we should have had, instead of trying to do a PR campaign, actually had a conversation, we might be having a different conversation today. But you can't think you're going to push something. It automatically puts your radar up. It automatically puts you on the defense. We're here to protect the city of Pittsburgh. That's it. And so for me, I want to have the public hearing. So motion to have the public hearings, and there was a
It's
second.
been motioned and seconded. All those in favor, Councilman Wilson.
Can I ask an interrogatory question? Or, sorry, can I ask a question?
Sarcastic
President.
question?
I say interrogatory, but that's not, what I mean. We're all. So 9 meetings. I'm just kind of wondering if maybe we take the same path as we did for the budget, where we did 5. We're like regional meetings.
Well, I called for 9. I'm sticking by 9. If we want to maybe do regional, we can talk about that. But right now, the motion's for 9, but we may change how we do that after we all discuss it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll work, the president will work with the clerk to get those scheduled. Any
Thank
other
you.
announcements?
I just have one other question. So we are going to wait until the end of the 90 days because it's going to take us that long to have our public hearings, right? We're not going to put it up for vote before then. We're going
Once
to
we
wait until we
have
get through the
the-
public.
The
hearing.
judge may tell us something. We're gonna wait and see what
Yeah,
the
I think
paper.
once we have
Judgment's
the-
coming down today. We're going to have 90 days from today.
We don't know that.
I think once we have the
Unless
full
Anthony
briefing,
knows that.
we're giving all
Maybe
the
judge
facts,
told him Something.
we'll be able to make those
Okay.
determinations.
Okay.
Can I just also call for a council briefing with the law department and our city solicitor or council?
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate that.
So
No, briefing, I thought we said. Was it executive session or briefing?
executives.
It was briefing.
All 9.
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time. If you're gonna do a quorum, it has to be.
Okay, we just went over this in my office, but okay, so now it's,
Briefing have to be 2 sessions.
Yeah.
okay,
Executive session can include all members.
okay, executive session then.
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Executive session will be scheduled. Councilman,
I just think the other thing I think is interesting. The other thing that's interesting is the only council districts that touch Wilkinsburg is mine in Corey O'Connor's. And we've not been at the center of these conversations, which is interesting. I just find it interesting, that strategy, that they engaged outside of us, when if this was to come through, it would be every one of them would either be in my council district or Corey's council district. There's no other place for them. There's no other way they can't flip flop the way that the map is. They will be in those 2 council
You
districts.
mean in terms of redistricting?
They will absolutely either be in my council district or Corey's. There's no other place for them to go. And so it's just interesting that
I'm sorry, Councilman, let me interrupt, but again, to have.
all of us, and
Right.
every one of you,
So very important to have.
what happened is, in terms of numbers, Corey and I would get all of them, but then every council district would get probably 5,000 new voters, 3,000 to 5,000 new voters in your council district. That your districts would be completely changed. You get 3,000 to 5,000 people you don't currently represent now as part of your council district. Because when you,
Lose others.
it shift, yeah.
That would be 45,000.
Because remember, you shift, the shift, it's, so if I lose, if I have to bleed, there's what, 10,000 residents, something like that? Jim?
16,000 residents.
16,000. So I would get at least probably 10,000 of them would go to my district. Corey would probably get 6,000. But then when I get the 10, I have to lose. So what you would see is just,
It would be a ripple.
it would be a ripple. Everybody would shift 3,000 to 5,000 voters per district is what the consequences of this would be.
Which again, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I am, I apologize. That how important it is to go into executive session, to have the briefings, to understand the ramifications, whether they, political, social, economical, whatever they may be, we need to understand. We need to understand the fact.
Just did, didn't I?
It's very important to have the professionals at the table to advise us.
Can I also call for an executive session to hear from our solicitor about what happened at the
Immediately after,
executive session immediately after?
About what?
To go into
Pending litigation that just got concluded in
yes.
part upstairs. I was there.
yes,
I entered my appearance on behalf of counsel, and we can call executive session to discuss.
So a motion for executive session, a second,
yes, second, and it's,
all in favor?
but we have
Aye.
we have to have a mission, and that go into executive session to discuss matters of
He said pending litigation.
Pending
any
litigation.
litigation. That wasn't part of the motion, which needs to be as public record.
Understood.
Thank you.
William, mic to you.
So yeah, to your point, do you want to make that motion then, Councilman, or?
I just did,
President did, and I seconded.
Okay.
and we just voted.
go back to the,
Any other members? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
and
moved.
Approve the minutes. We have to approve the minutes. Approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
Whichever, wherever you want to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.